Hello there, Michelle Short here for My Favourite Things. Today I have an underwater scene card to share with you using the Mermazing set and alcohol inks. So I'm starting off by creating my alcohol ink background. I have got a piece of Yupo paper here. This is a lot bigger than I'm going to need eventually, but I do like to work on a larger sheet and then cut it down. I've added a layer of alcohol ink blending solution and then my lightest colour of Tim Holtz alcohol inks, and that was the aqua colour. Then I'm going in here with the pool, turquoise and stream. And then I'm going to spritz it all around using an air puffer tool, and this just helps to move the colour around. I quite like to have some kind of details with some more kind of darker areas and lighter areas. I want it to look like a sea, and so I do want quite a lot of movement into the alcohol inks. So I'm just moving all of that colour around. I do go back in and add some more blending solution, and then if I've added too much, I then go back in with some alcohol inks again. Like I said, just to move that colour around and kind of get it how I want it. It is always a bit of an experiment with alcohol inks on what it's going to end up turning out like. I do love these kind of blue colours for a underwater scene though. So once I'm fairly happy with how that is, I'm just going to kind of go over it with the air puffer tool just to dry it a little bit. And then I've left it for a couple of minutes, and now I have a piece of silver deco foil. This piece of foil is only used for alcohol inks, as you can see. It's really, really messy, but I just want to place that over the top of the panel. And then where there's any alcohol ink that's still a little bit sticky, the foil is going to stick to it. And that's just going to give me a little bit of added interest and also some sparkle onto the card. And I thought it kind of mimicked how kind of waves kind of froth around and that would be where the foil is. I think it does look quite pretty. So I'm going to set that piece aside to dry and then work on my images. So I have stamped the cute little mermaid and the turtle from the Mermazing set, and I'm colouring those with Copic markers. So I'm just colouring in the turtle first. I'm using some green shades for this, and so as time has gone on with colouring, I find that I really have to lean very far over my image while I'm colouring. Obviously that's not helpful for videos, so I do apologise here if I go outside of the lines a little bit. I am struggling kind of to see where I'm colouring. I haven't managed to figure out a perfect setup with the camera. Like I said, my head really needs to be right over the image. So a couple of times I do cut out little bits on the video. So if you see some extra little bits where I've coloured and you haven't seen them on screen, I do apologise for that, but that's me sort of getting my head in the way. So for the main body of the turtle, I have used G29, YG17, YG23 and YG01. And then for the shell, I'm using BG78, BG75 and BG72. And I just wanted it to be a slightly different colour to the body of the turtle. But then I do want to go in with that YG01 and just kind of brighten that up and kind of merge the two together, if that makes sense, just so that they kind of look quite cohesive. And then I'm going to go in with the colourless blender on the little bit of the tail there at the back, just where I went over the lines. And that's just going to push that colour back into the image. So next for the mermaid, I'm going in with some skin tones here, and I am leaving the skin quite pale. I'm kind of doing it sort of similar to my skin tone, and my skin tone is very, very pale. So I'm using E13, E11, E00 and then E000, and then I do go in with the E50 as well, and that just kind of changes the skin tone a little bit. So as you can see, I do start with my darkest shade and move to the lightest. I just find that works for me. But then I do go back in with the two darkest shades again, the E13 and the E00, just to add some more shadows into the skin tone. And just blending that out. And then here is where I'm going over all of the lightest areas with the E50. And then I'm going to go in with some R20 for her cheeks and just blend that out. And then for her hair, I wanted quite a rich brown, so I'm going in first with the E49 and just laying down where the darkest shades would be, and I'm having it so that the light is more kind of in front of her, and so the darkest shades would be further away from her skin tone, so towards the left hand side. And then I'm going in with the E29 to blend that out. And then usually from the E29 I would jump to the E27, but I left that one out and just went straight to the E25, and I think it still worked quite well. I missed out the area underneath her, kind of where her neck is, I suppose, so I'm just going back into that. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to see on images whether there would be hair there or not, but in this instance I thought that there would be. So here I'm going in with that E25 and just blending all of the darker shades out, and then I'm going in with the E23 and going over all of the darker areas, kind of blocking that in, just leaving a very small highlight. And then I'm going to go in with the E21 and just fill in those highlights. And then off screen I did add in the colour to the very tiny little pieces of hair just around her face. And then for her top and her hair clip, I'm using some purple shades. So that's a V17, V15 and V12. And I wanted a two-tone for her tail, so I'm using some purples and some turquoises. So I'm going in here with my darkest shades of the purple. So that is a V17 and then this is V15. And then I'm going to go in with the V12. And then on the other side, I'm going to start with my darkest shade of the turquoises, and that is BG49. And then I can go in with BG13 and then BG11. And I do think it looks quite nice as it is, like with smooth colouring, but I am going to add in some dot detail, and that's going to blend those two colours together. And I think that the dots work really nicely for the texture on her tail. So I'm just using the same shades of the markers and focusing most of the darkest shade towards each end, and then going in with the lighter shades towards the middle. But I do want some of the darker dots to kind of be in the middle as well, just to kind of blend those two colours together. So here I'm going in with the turquoise colours and just doing the same thing on the other side. I do apologise that it's a little bit difficult to see here on camera as I'm kind of adding the dots in. My fingers do get in the way, so I do apologise for that. But I'm just kind of going over each side, so some of the purples go over where the turquoises are, and then some of the turquoises or the aquas go over where the purple is, and I find that that just helps to blend those two colours together. Once the colouring was finished, I then wanted to die cut the images out, so I've taken the dynamics from the Mermazing Die-namics set. I'm just placing them over the images and holding them down with some low tack tape, and then run those through my die cutting machine. I just absolutely love this cute little mermaid and her turtle friend. Next, I'm going to stamp the sentiment, and this is from the Bitty Things and Kisses stamp set, and it says Friends Forever, and I thought that that worked quite nicely with the images. So I'm going to stamp that down onto some black licorice cardstock. I've prepped that with an anti-static powder tool and just inking up the sentiment with Versamark ink. And then I can apply some detail white embossing powder. I'm just going to tap off the excess and then I can heat set that until it's completely melted. I'm just removing any extra powder using a Swiffer cloth, and then I'm going to die cut the sentiment out using one of the Die-namics from the Skinny Strips Die-namics set. Here I've got my background, and because it's larger than I'm going to need, I find it quite helpful to have some kind of way of seeing where I want to cut the panel down. So I've got two pieces of tracing paper here, cut to different sizes. The first one was an A2 size, and this one here is 5 inches by 3¼ inches. And I'm just working out which size I want to cut my panel down. And once I'm happy with the sizing, I'm just going to add some small marks with a pencil, and then I can cut that down. I've added tape runner to the back of that, and I'm adhering that down onto an A2 sized card base made from black licorice cardstock. I've added some foam tape onto the back of the images, and before I stick them down I just want to make sure that I've got the placement correct. I can remove the backings of the foam tape just using some tweezers just to help me out there. And then I can place them down onto my card. Like I said, I just think these are so cute together, these little characters. And then I've cut one end of the sentiment strip down, and then I can use my T-square ruler just to make sure that I adhere that down flat. And then to finish off, I'm adding small dabs of On Point Precision glue, and I'm going to add some bubbles onto that. I absolutely love embellishments like this that kind of look like bubbles, and they've got some iridescence to them as well, so they work perfectly for the underwater scene. So just using an embellishment wand here just to keep those in place. And that's the card finished for today. I think the alcohol inks work really nicely as an ocean background for those mermazing images. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Links to the products that I used will be in the description bar here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.